Good morning and welcome to our STS-88 post-launch press conference. And we have with us today our Don McMonigal, Manager of Launch Integration for the Space Shuttle Program, and Ralph Rowe, KSC Launch Director. And we'll begin with statements from Don McMonigal.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, we like the title of this press conference a lot better than we liked the title from last night. But we're safely on orbit. We had a successful launch, obviously. We accomplished our OMS 2 burn. We are now in an orbit that's 97 miles by 175, and we're in the catch-up trail with Mir, with Zyra, which is up at 210 miles. The launch was just about perfect. We had a little bit of a ragged data drop out for a few seconds in first stage that we're tracking down, but we know it's not associated with the vehicle. And we had a water spray boiler that started cooling a little bit late, but we think it was cooling before we shut it down. So we've got effectively a perfect vehicle on orbit, and nothing to have of concern in executing a perfect mission, and a milestone for the space station in the history of human spaceflight. And I guess we'll have Ralph talk about the launch count.
The countdown went extremely well. The launch team did an outstanding job, especially in account for having to turn around the vehicle in 24 hours and drain the ET, and there's a lot of work involved with that, so they should be commended for an outstanding job at getting ready. And not much to talk about on the count. It was essentially a flawless countdown, and got off when we wanted to get off, and everything went very well.
Okay, thanks. Let's open it up for questions. Start with Sue on the front row here.
Thank you. Don, about that APU number 2 that you shut down because it overheated slightly, did I understand correctly? And is there no concern now because do you have 3 good APUs for the return? No possibility of a minimum duration mission?
No.
Everything is...
All 3 of the APUs worked fine. We have, of course, water spray boilers that cool the APUs, and once the residual water that we have in the water spray boiler container is used up on ascent, we go to active cooling. We have seen this before where some of the water spray boilers tend to ice up and do not cool, but once they sublimate on orbit and we get the ice out of the system, they work fine. In this case, we switched from the A controller to the B controller on that water spray boiler, and we think we saw cooling just before we shut the APU down. So we have 3 good APUs, and we believe we have 3 water spray boilers that are working well as well. So no issue.
Okay. Phil?
Phil, Chen Earth News. I guess for Ralph, it's been a long time since we've had to detank and do a 24 turnaround. Was there any kidding around about it, do we still remember how to do this since it's been so long or stuff like that?
There was not much kidding around about it. People were very serious about it. We did get to drain the tank after the super lightweight tanking test. So a year ago we had a little exercise there, but it's been more than 2 years since we've done all the work involved in a 24-hour scrub, and I thought the team did an outstanding job. So it was truly good.
And something I noticed on the first launch attempt on the OTB camera 54, seemed like it was concentrating on a tear in the insulation on the tank. Obviously, not a concern. Went ahead and launched, but any idea what that was and how that was resolved?
I don't.
Well, the ice team goes out and looks for this kind of thing on the tank. We look for ice. We look for insulation that cracks as the tank cools down to cryogenic temperatures. And what you're talking about is a crank in an area where we have seen these kinds of hairline cracks in the past. It's expected to have them. They do not affect the performance of the insulation whatsoever. And the same crack that I think you're talking about was witnessed again tonight, and it started out at 8 to 10 inches, and it was 10 to 12 inches tonight. So the propagation was not a factor. And we see these kinds of things all the time. We find areas where we know there's usually a little bit of ice that falls well within our criteria, and these small hairline cracks in the insulation are expected and are of no concern, fall well within the criteria of the performance of the insulation.
Stefano?
Stefano Clay, Popular Mechanics. What caused the delay in tanking tonight, the slight delay in tanking?
The delay in tanking was we had to change out a ground MPS helium rig that we used to supply helium to the MPS system. So that delayed us in inerting the vehicle and getting the right moisture level in the GN2 that we used to inert the vehicle. So we had to take a little extra time to make sure we were at the right moisture level with the GN2 that was going to the vehicle.
What is the cause of that moisture?
Moisture is just moisture inherent into the GN2 that's supplied to us.
Any other questions? No other questions? Okay, well, that'll end this briefing. Thank you.